This is the Heathen Movie Channel. This is episode 51 of our not-so-run-of-the-mill horror movie review show, I Know What You Watched Last Week. And currently, we have an I Know What You Did Last Summer in the cinema, which obviously I monikered this thing after. And to quote Randy from Scream 2, I'll wait for the video.
I was holding in a sneeze for almost all of that, but...
Congratulations.
Yeah, I managed. So, I thought we were going for a bit of a special this week because...
It is absolutely special. It's a around the world special because even though I had to nix the final selection because they told me it was going to be from the Vatican to England, and when we put it on, it turns out just a bunch of English people running around a field. I said enough. But technically, we're still in New York in the last one, so it's around the world.
I don't know if that's really exotic enough.
Around the world. Well, it's the other side of the world to us, so, you know. How more exotic do you want to get?
Okay. So we started the week...
You know, it's not Bognor.
In
it's New York.
Ukraine. With...
Ukraine.
Is it the? Or just Chernobyl Diaries?
Chernobyl Diaries.
Yeah, really random name for it, by the way. Then we saw the Dyatlov Pass Incident.
The Dyatlov Pass Incident. One of the greatest
You're just repeating everything
titles in horror of all time.
Which is obviously in Russia. Ruski. And...
So you see the around the world theme at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was
more
quite...
Eastern European.
Yeah, I was going to say quite Slavic. But and then we rounded it off with, as you said, a New York-based one.
The thing is, I've probably exhausted all the other Slavic horror movies that I can find easily because we've done quite a lot of Slavic on here. So yeah, I had to go with this one. Now, as we know...
I haven't even said the third one.
Well, go on then, quickly.
Yeah, but I don't remember what it's called, so you're going to have to
Ascent To Hell.
Oh yeah, it sounded like you're saying ascent like a smell, but no, it's ascent like when you're rising.
Yeah, that's exactly what I
Ascent
said.
to Hell.
So Ascent To Hell. We are ascending to hell. And because this is my show, you know, I came up with the whole thing, you know, I'm the horror guy, we're going to do what I say. So instead of just ranking, I have to assume that much like me, Ascent To Hell is bottom for you.
Yes.
Right, so now we come to the big question. Who wins in the showdown, Russia versus Ukraine?
It wasn't even a question for me.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely thought that the first place went to Chernobyl Diaries.
Well, it looks like we have a draw because I've put Dyatlov Pass above the Chernobyl Diaries.
You're joking.
You're talking like this is, you know, one movie's here and one's there. They're both like here.
They were like completely the same until towards the end, and then there was something just so bad about the Dyatlov Pass that I had to give it to Chernobyl Diaries.
Because as we watched as Chernobyl Diaries first, I was certain once again, like a lot of times when we start the movies during
that
the
it could only go up from here.
This is going to be bottom. This is absolutely going to be bottom, but it wasn't.
Continued to go down for me. There was no ascent. It was a descent.
So it's a draw. We're sitting on the fence.
Scheiße.
Russia won, Ukraine won, even though it's really, you know, Hungary/Serbia passing as Ukraine.
But since we have agreed on the worst of the bunch, let's dive right into why
Ascent
this is so
to
terrible.
hell.
I mean, this was actually quite laughably bad, especially because...
Let me just you know, this, if you're going to write like a small synopsis about what this is about, I'm going with a ghost brokers a real estate deal so that he can possess his granddaughter and then take over and burn down sweatshops in Pakistan and Bangladesh. So, the intrigue is...
Have you been secretly drinking today?
No, I'm fresh out of the home gym.
You seem very chipper for a sober Johnny.
Well, maybe. Well, this is it. Yeah, I'm happy today, so I don't need the demon juice.
Okay, so
as we said on one of our thoughts of the week, I'm the shiny, happy people type, and as you've demonstrated during the opening of this, you are the down with the world type.
How I demonstrated that?
We'll just look back through it. But let's go. Ascent to Hell.
Yeah, I think your little extended log line thing was pretty accurate, and already just with that you're like left wondering what the hell.
Do you reckon the guy went into the room with that, just said that, and then they were like, here's the dosh, go and make that movie?
But I'm so confused because by the end of this I was like, was the whole reason for this film just to make a point about health and safety standards?
Well, before we get into what the point is, let's set the others aside by telling them what happens, I guess. Start off, we have a giant factory building in New York, and we don't just get one character. We don't just get two characters or three. We're just bombarded straight away with 7 lead characters.
Well, actually, I think the first characters we're bombarded with is our realtor, who's in her office having just received the details of this big factory building. And
that was some great blocking, by the way. Great lighting, great settings.
Great set, yeah. What a gorgeous
superb location.
piece of work
I was getting
was.
New York high rise through the whole time with that, like high powered.
It was dire.
Money.
But yeah, so we get the realtor and a colleague of hers who's working really, really hard to convince her to take this listing and not just sell another artsy loft. What kind of realtor needs to be convinced that hard to take a massive sale?
Yeah,
she was already getting on my nerves.
They're all scumbags. They'll just take what they're given.
But she was like, ugh, I don't know if I can do this.
Kate.
Ugh.
Her name is Kate. So we're introduced to Kate in your great way there. And then we get to, as I said, the factory building outside. And now we are introduced
we're bombarded.
Mr. Browning, played by Bill Sage, who once upon a time was in American Psycho, so his career is really in the toilet. His buddy Stan, these are 2 businessmen. We've got Stan and Mr. Browning, the 2 suits.
Was Stan the sleazy one?
Stan was the bald, sleazy one,
right.
Yeah. Well, though, really, he was supposed to be sleazy. The character, the writing, just couldn't pull off sleazy. It was more just lame. We also get they have 2 architects with them.
Right,
They also have a safety guy with them.
Well, that's one of the 2 that you just mentioned. I think one's like an architect designer and one's more of a safety guy, isn't he?
We also have Ramon.
Was that his name? Because I swear they kept calling him different things, like Ramon.
Oh,
Romini.
I'm going with Ramon because of the ponytail. I was getting more the Ramon because of the ponytail.
Who was that? Because we get... So the final character, before you say it, is the blonde girl who's apparently like a clothing designer, and she's the whole reason why they're looking into buying this.
Mary, the famous clothing designer.
Super famous. And Roman/Ramon, was he like her bodyguard, or was he her... No, not...
He was her boyfriend. Bitch.
Well, yeah, that too. But... yeah, also, for a clothing designer, I wasn't very impressed by her outfit.
Just want to make sure we've got the 7 here. So we've got the 2 businessmen, their architect and their safety guy, Ramon, Kate and Mary. Yeah. That's the 7. And we also have... So you've mentioned that Mary is a famous clothing designer. And we had a real catty comment from you. She's supposed to be a clothing designer, and they've put her in that.
Well, I basically just said that in a slightly less catty way. But yeah, honestly, what... The men's suits and even the like architect guys' outfits looked better put together than hers.
And they weren't good. Stan next to Bill Sage / Mr. Browning, yeah, it just made me want to throw up in my mouth.
Yeah, it was a really weird mix of acting abilities in this. So as much as I found Kate was totally miscast, her acting was fine.
What miscast as a super hottie real estate agent? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As a tight young
Miss
thing.
Tight Body,
yeah, Miss
as they
Tight
call her. This is also from the script, by the way. We're not just making this up on the fly.
Yeah. The clothing designer and
Mary.
Roman just... I mean, talk about atrocious acting. It was painful.
Mary was, based solely on this movie, she cannot act.
Awful.
And it's not even a hard character to pull off, is it? Like the bitchy type. Just be a bitch.
It's exactly what you're imagining. Just the blonde kind of like, oh, I'm a clothing designer. I look so hot. But I thought the first guy who you said
Mr. Browning.
I thought he was good.
Well,
there's what can you do with a shit movie?
That's Bill Sage from American Psycho.
Yeah, he was
He was the best thing in it, you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
clearly agreed, absolutely.
But a really basic character, again. He's just like the sort of...
Well, they've typecast him, within like, oh, he's worn a sharp suit in American Psycho. Let's put him in a slightly less sharp suit in Ascent To Hell.
And I called his business partner
Stan
a sleaze because Kate, the realtor...
Let's just get it. So after we're outside the building, we will now enter the building. And they're walking around to check out its potential and if they really want to go through with the sale. And there's all this kind of like low-level business jargon going on.
And architecture jargon.
And it becomes quite obvious. We're only about 5 minutes into the movie that the director's problem here is having these said 7 characters and having all of them be completely uninteresting. And also just having a completely uninteresting setting in which to have all this kind of thing flesh out. So we know what you're going to get to, so I just want to set it up. So Mr. Browning and Stan, the 2 guys who are looking to buy this building. Mr. Browning's all business, but Stan is all business. Right?
Yeah. Can I...
That's your cue, yeah.
That's my cue. So Kate, the realtor, she's
Little Miss Tightbody.
she's normal looking. If you saw her on the street or as a realtor, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. But they kept insinuating with the way that Stan was like, oh, I'm going to close on that tight body and stuff, that she was supposed to be some
you
sort of like...
You work on closing the deal?
Sydney Sweeney
I'll
type.
work on closing that ass.
And I was so baffled by it.
Well, you have to take a look at Stan as well. It's not like he's Brad Pitt. They're in the same ballpark.
Well, either way, he's not being very professional because apparently he's so distracted by this super hottie. But she's got eyes more for the architect, who also goes on about
the architect Wes.
How sexy the building is because, it combines so many different types of architecture. That was so boring. I actually like architecture, but that still managed to just bore the hell out of me.
So you like architecture, but you didn't like this film. But it seems to combine everything that you like then, everything that you enjoy.
What, dirty buildings?
Dirty buildings.
Dirty.
Yeah, talking about dirty, let's go back to Dirty Stan for a second. Because he also, I said he's about the business. And when Mr. Browning, he's like, we need to make sure all the upkeep is da-da-da-da-da. And then Stan's like, okay, and now back to the matter at hand. And what I'm doing here is not an over-exaggeration of Stan's performance. It's one of those, isn't it?
Oh, God,
every opportunity he gets,
awful.
He has to comment on Kate. So yeah, you're right, he is sleazy, but he's saying sleazy things, but he has to do the old...
Oh, yeah.
But unfortunately for him, Wes the architect, he's got the inside track. He's got the inside track straight away on Kate. And
like I said, he woos her with architecture talk.
Stan knows that he's got competition, so later on in the movie he will up his game, and we can all look forward to that. So we've failed to mention outside. I believe it's Kate talks to Mr. Browning about how green this area and this building can be as kind of a selling point, and he's like, can you go and talk to someone else, please? I don't care about your green issues, your social issues, your environmental issues. Get out of my face, Kate.
He just wants to make money.
Yeah, and it's at that point that then Stan, he's like, I'm sorry about my partner there, but I would love to hear all about your green issues. So he's opening it up right away, showing that he's interested. So we now move on. Actually, the reason I brought it up because Mr. Browning retorts to Mary in the building the green issues that he's been told by Kate, and Mary kind of eats all up because he's kind of seen that she's a bimbo airhead, and he knows that she'll just react to anything that is supposed to be socially aware.
Again, I was really confused about the relationships between them, but it doesn't really matter. And it doesn't take long. Do you remember that bit that I was literally just like, what am I watching? Because clearly the set designers had gone on to this set and been told like, right, we need Ramon to go and look at some smudges on the wall and say that they look like people with their arms out, like trying to find something. And it was literally just someone had taken some grey and smudged sort of silhouettes of the side of someone's face, like profiles.
I wasn't even getting that.
Well,
You're being quite generous to it.
There was nothing about it that made it look like it was an accident. It was so clearly like just freshly put on there by set designers. And where was the insinuation that they had their arms out? It was just like a splodge of a head. It was so ridiculous.
That was quite surprising, seeing as just before this, when we've had all the talk in the apartment, they get into the elevator and we get this fantastic shot of them milling about outside the elevator, all 7 of them just talking, waiting for the lift. Then they get in the lift and the camera just goes behind them instead of in front of them.
And she doesn't press any buttons for absolutely ages.
And it goes on forever.
And then they finally go up and then they don't get out for ages. So as you said, there's just this shot of them in this lift for far, far, far too long.
I've said to you, the reason they've left the camera on so long is because it's so great to look at.
Yeah.
You could look left, look right, look below.
Yeah, aspiring filmmakers, you could really learn something from this film.
A bunch of people with the back of their heads. I love watching the backs of people's heads. Outside elevators, inside elevators. So once they finally get out of this lift, it felt like that scene lasted. This is only an hour and 20 minute movie. It felt like this went on for about 7 minutes. It was just so forever. And after, when the lift finally goes up, they get into what you've already mentioned, this like kind of janky room. And it's when Roman/Ramon notices these scrawlings on the wall that when he finds them ominous, it's then Mary, the clothing designer, who then rips it out of him. And it was this part of her acting where I was just like, wow, she really cannot pull off this bitchy behaviour. It was
terrible. Absolutely terrible.
And while she rips him a new arsehole, by the way, when she's laying into Roman, the camera cuts back to Stan and he's like, he's absolutely loving it. He's loving this.
Dear Lord. Is it right after this that Roman kind of goes off for a cigarette break? I think it is, isn't it?
Looking around there, and Mary. No, first of all, yeah, I think you're right. So they're looking around this dank room again. So we've looked around the nice room with all the daylight. Now we're in the room with barely any daylight and scrawlings on the wall.
Oh yeah, that was it. So
Mary apologises to Roman in this cloakroom.
But hang on, we haven't even said there's a reason they're going up to this super rundown bit. So the whole building's kind of disused.
It's the Ascent to Hell.
The 6th floor is apparently the one and only floor that has never been renovated.
Get it? 6. Yeah.
And when they get up there as well, it was clearly a clothing factory. It's got all the like old sewing machines and irons and all of this stuff. And at one point as well, this just baffled me completely. When Mary is like, oh my God, this is like totally cute. This is such a trip. And then Kate goes, yeah, very Salvador Dali.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of Salvador Dali. It was.
There was literally nothing about this place that was like Dali. I was like, what? Who wrote that?
It's so that the writer knows that we know that he's cultured.
Yeah, and
the director knows.
Oh God. Okay, so sorry. Yeah, they're in this where she finds a bunch of coats and shirts.
She finds a bunch of. I'm just calling it a cloakroom because there is a hanging rack there, right? Of clothing jackets, and so Roman's just been ripped a new arsehole, right? And he's been made to look a mug by Stan, in the corner. He gets in there straight. She's just kind of apologising to Roman. Roman accepts it. She starts trying on clothes, and then she gives him a jacket to try on. And she's like, I bet this will look great on you. And he puts it on. He's like, sorry, this jacket must have been made pre-protein shake. He struggles to get it off because he's so buff. And this, clearly this clothing line was made before protein shakes were invented. It's not made for the buff man.
She then also proceeds to be like, oh, it's so hot when a girl wears a shirt dress and nothing else. I'm going to try one of these shirts on. So she puts a shirt on, which then, by the way, she doesn't even turn into this dress that she was talking about. She just ties it in a knot. And she's like, yeah, I'm so hot. And it couldn't look worse.
It's because she's a clothing designer, so she knows what looks good. And it's at this point where Roman goes and wanders off by himself to the balcony.
And you know that anyone smoking is
they're for it.
Destined for death. And this is like one of the first moments we get this weird flash of stuff, I think. So he's out on this like fire escape air vent area to have his cigarette, even though there's a sign that says no smoking.
Well, where have I seen a no smoking sign in the opening of a movie before? Oh yeah, heathen. Yeah.
And he lights a cigarette and he does the dumbest thing you could ever think of in this like abandoned rundown building, which is that he leans back against like some grating that's obviously not stable. And what does he do? He falls down to his apparent death.
He doesn't fall first, he's hanging on first, isn't he? And then the rail starts to burn.
Heating up.
Before he takes his tumble, Roman has managed to grab on to the edge, to the railing.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And the railing turns red and it's like indicating that it's sizzling. But he's just there for ages, like Well, he's not showing much pain. I mean, it
clearly
must be,
protein shake makes you impervious to heat.
It must be at least singeing his skin, judging by the steam coming off.
I mean,
and
considering
the noise.
how hot like a curling iron is, if you just barely graze it, that would be horrendous. But
do you want to explain the fall?
Yeah, I do. So he eventually does let go of this, burning hot metal, and I think we indulged a bit here and rewound this bit to watch it again because it's still making me laugh now. His fall.
How have they done it? Like the technicalities of it. What have they done?
I know exactly what I think they've done, which is that they've got him in a safety harness or whatever, and supposedly like drop him down. But that it hasn't gone straight down, so you can see the swing of the safety harness or whatever. So as he's supposed to be falling, he's kind of just moving in a way that it was. It was so bad.
Comes to a complete stop almost. It's like fall up,
swing a bit, and then down again. Oh my god, the incompetence.
That was really that was the first bit of incompetence that came through, like real incompetence. I was willing to let go of the stupid red railing and the dumb acting because that's what we normally get.
Oh, and also I said we get the first like flash thing here. When he falls, we get like a small instant of like
flashback visions of what's been happening in the building prior.
Falling where he fell.
Yeah, the way that everyone dies, people in the building would have previously died in the same way, it seems.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on. So after he's gone, we're back inside, and before everyone catches on to the fact that Roman is missing, we're back to Stan and Mr. Browning, and they've wandered off together to talk business. But it's not really business because Stan once again is like, I wouldn't mind taking a run at Kate. I think she's digging my vibe. And
Mr. Brown's having none of it.
Mr. Browning's like, look, get your head in the game or whatever. We're not here to pull down panties. He's like, hey, as I've already said, Mr. Browning, you work on closing that deal. I'll work on closing that ass. So maybe this isn't bottom for me. Now I'm rethinking everything.
No, you're making it sound a lot more entertaining than it was. This was so freaking boring. I mean, all three of these had me close to sleep for the first at least half of the film, but this was the worst.
So after that little scene, Mr. Browning's had enough of Roman, so he kind of walks off by himself to get some time. And this is when we get the second death pretty quickly after Roman.
Well, I don't think this bit was even a death, but I mean, the level of
it's a
fear...
Death.
No, I'm just... Something else I think has happened. The level of fear is a pile of cardboard boxes fall over and someone has to be moved out the way.
So then Bill Sage / Mr. Browning wanders off by himself. And he's in a corridor. It's just a dark corridor. He gets a very quick vision of these kind of like black and white see-through old, previous tenants of this building, workers in this building. And he's kind of like walking past something and all of a sudden, psst, there's a burst of ghostly steam that hits Bill Sage in the face.
And then he trips over.
He's already had a vision of steam. Now he's been steamed himself. And like I said, tripped over. And that's the end of Bill Sage.
Apparently a bit of steam in the face and a trip offs this guy. I mean,
in the pantheon of Steam deaths, Leprechaun 3, this is not. If
Bone
anyone's
Collector,
aware
this is not.
of that, yeah. Bone Collector, another good Steam death. Quite a lot of Steam death.
A lot of steaming, yeah.
in
But
horror.
this was so ridiculous.
What was a better
It
death,
was so
Ramon
ridiculous.
or Bill Sage?
Ramon, at least, it was like somewhat believable. Yeah, if you fall down a few flights, you're going to be injured. But this guy, I was like, when he died after a couple of minutes of everyone being like, oh, is he okay? I was like, what?
So Mr. Browning has now been steamed. He's been
What?
steamed to death. It's after this point that they realise that they've seen Bill Sage is gone. They're also now asking where
Ramon?
Roman is. So, yeah, I think you're right. His name probably was Roman. I prefer to call him Ramon. And then Kate, she's like, oh, I better call 911. But she calls 911, but it ain't 911 on the other end.
Operator, how may I connect you? We don't have a branch with 911. And then other people try and they get the same thing. And, oh yeah, it's some like clothing company operator specifically that answers.
Chilling.
Oh God, can I mention this bit as well now? So we understand what's going on, right? The like ghostly visions people are seeing, which by the way do put their arms out, just like Roman said he saw in that smudge on the wall. They're like the victims.
The wolf smudge.
Who passed away on this 6th floor. And we keep getting visions, as you mentioned, of how, they suffered at the time. And then we've got a scene where the two architect guys are in, like, the main...
We're not here yet. I just wanted to say, we can't rush ahead. There's a lot to fill in for this movie.
Does it really matter when I mention that bit, though?
Yeah, it does matter. So Bill Sage is gone. He can no longer close the business deal. But Stan can still close that ass. He's freaking out. He's got to get his head back in the game because he's still there. Kate's still there.
He fears for his life.
He's laid down the groundwork for this. So no, she's vulnerable now as well.
And
she's
they can't get out. Apparently, like everything's locked and dysfunctional.
She's scared. She's vulnerable. Stan should have, pulled up his bootstraps and been right now I can finally get to it because I haven't got, Mr. Brown in my ear all the time about get your head back into the business game. So now we get the safety guy quickly sees a vision before the bit you were going to say, and he sees it with Wes, the architect.
Yeah, they both see it.
Yeah.
Just, again, another, like, female worker or whatever with her arms out.
But this isn't before, by the way. They're about to split up. Like,
and look for clues?
And look for clues. So Stan walks up to Wes, because Wes is about to take Kate away from him, and they're going to be the two. But Stan's like, hey, we're the real estate experts here. If anyone should pair up, it's me and her. Because if anyone's going to get us out of this building, this situation, it's us. So he gives Wes the old business. He's like, you're not going to take Kate away from me. He has got his head back in the game now. So they're the best chance of getting out. And why don't you go and check on something else, Wes? That's what Stan says.
I also love that she was saying, oh yeah, we need to go and check the office for manuals on how to get the elevator running again. I was like, why the hell would there be manuals in the office of a clothing factory that hasn't been renovated since like the 20s? God, this character really, really aggravated me. She was so annoying. So now can I say the bit? So as Kate and Stan are off in the office,
saving everyone,
the two architect guys are in the main thing with the massive like curved windows.
Yeah, New York style high-rise windows.
As we all know from footage from like the 20s, the world had no colour. The world was black and white, right? Because through the windows we now get
old-timey
black and white New York skyline. Yeah.
And like what the safety guy is like, do you see this, right? It's not just me. And was like, I do see it. Safety guy, there's gotta be a logical explanation. So again, that is Oscar-worthy script writing there.
And in the meantime,
literally,
Kate is looking through some like boxes of paperwork. Stan finally makes his move And he's instantly just shut down by her.
Well,
instantly.
This is how he comes onto her. It's very, very quick and painless. You know I'm here for you, right? And then, yeah, just rejected. He takes rejection quite well. I mean, he's a bit babyish about it, but he's not like, right, I've been rejected, I'm not going to carry on this. He's seen that there's only a dead end here.
Yeah, but, you know, what's shocking to me
Kate's never going to open up to him.
Why would she not take this opportunity to have sex with
Stan?
him? Yeah, because, you know...
I'm glad you're on board that she should have had sex with Stan. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because they're locked in this place, that's... They're locked in, they're trying to look for manuals, but they can't find manuals, so what's the point, really? There's no point trying to escape anymore. She might as well just give in to base desires.
She has no base desire for Stan, though, for some reason.
Yeah, she wants the architect.
Well, so they come across, while she rejects him, they both come across very quickly I don't know if it's like a commemorative fire plaque. Well, a plaque.
Yeah,
about the fires that's been happening in the building.
That was clearly taken off the front of the facade. Which
they both now have a vision, a black and white vision of these ghostly beings walking through. It quickly becomes, instead of like 3 girls as a vision, 3 women, it quickly goes into just one guy over and over again. And it's about this point where we just have the one guy. The other 2 guys, by the way, when Stan's been rejected, when we cut back, and Wes and the safety guy are still looking out the window, just like gawping at the black and white. So there's got to be a logical explanation. And you see it, right? You hear it. So then they all kind of get back together, and we're back into a room, and we've already had steam. We've already had hot rails. What is the hat trick in horror? Sewing machines going off simultaneously.
Wait, is this the bit where there was a death that just still confounds me even more than the steam one?
Well, just say it briefly and I'll let you know.
It's one of the 2 architect guys. It must be the safety guy.
Yeah, safety guy. Yeah, safety guy.
Dance. So he... I can't even really explain it because I cannot understand.
Do you not want to elaborate on the sewing machines, though? I mean, were you stuck to your chair in fear?
Yeah, at this point,
these characters...
Kate is like, oh my god, it must be like all the women who... So did you even mention the plaque?
How sexist, by the way, to assume that it's only women doing the sewing.
Well, it would have been.
Wow, you are sexist, that is. Men can sew too.
Pretty factual. So this plaque...
Not in this day and age.
Did we say that the plaque was saying that this is where like 160 women died in a fire in the 20s?
Women's.
And then, yeah, so Kate's like, oh my god, the machines are going. The women must think that they're still here and they're still working. And that's when we see this dude who comes in. He's clearly like the floor manager or something, because he's got his like pocket watch and he's making sure, and there's all these signs like don't leave the floor without permission and
he's
stuff.
The bee's knees, this guy.
Yeah.
In charge of the women.
So now we get to this thing I'm struggling, I'm going to do my best to explain. So the safety guy gets onto a table and kind of flails about a bit so that the wire of an iron kind of hangs around his neck. And then the time ghost, clock ghost, heats up the wire. I'm
pretty sure that's Stan, not the safety guy.
Oh, is it Stan?
Yeah, you've got this completely wrong. So it's because you keep jumping ahead. See, sewing. So we had the sewing machines, the stuff that nightmares are made of, clearly. And Kate like spits out one of the immortal lines, something along the lines of, "I think the spirits from the fire are still here." So in case we didn't get it, we now know through Kate's dialogue that
I said that as well.
There are indeed spirits here. Kate is now confronted by the apparition, and he's like, "You're so pretty. You're mine." But then he's spooked. A ghost is spooked by like a noise, and he runs away.
No, he's not spooked by it. He
That's
thinks
what I was
that
getting.
One of his workers is absconding from what they should be doing, so he's gone to go and find them and punish them.
I'm pretty sure he's just heard a noise. He's about to Yeah, you're mine. Disturb our noise. Then Mary, the fashion designer, then hides herself. Where? In a bunch of clothes. Because she's a fashion designer. She's in the clothing industry. She's got to go where it's familiar.
Did you enjoy how her way of disguising herself as a pile of clothes was to take shirts and tie them around her body?
Yeah.
Was that not genius?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Stupid.
And she quickly goes up in CGI flame.
Yeah, this pocket watch
CGI
guy
flame.
flames her.
So now Wes
Flame
and Kate are starting to comfort each other. You know, they're like, oh, maybe we like each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've got a nice tacked on love story here.
Felt very genuine.
And once again, we've got, there must be some really pissed off spirits here. These kind of lines. And then Kate says, maybe he worked here. So we just got constantly over and over and over again.
Oh my god, how dumb do you have to be to think that maybe he worked here? Yeah, okay, carry on, please.
So they've had this little love-in and about the apparition, and they're about to wander off, and all of a sudden Stan, he bursts out of a bunch of boxes because he's scared. He's punking out. He's like crying and he's all scared. So he's ended absolutely his chance with Kate now.
He's already been shut down
because
by her. So.
He's acting like a wimp, and Wes is, you know, the hot, young, strong architect who's going to save Kate. Now, you said that the safety guy, you got the safety guy's death wrong. Somehow he ends up in a vent.
Oh yeah, he tries to escape via a vent, doesn't he?
So he's in the vent. He has a vision of, I believe, 3 girls in a vent burning to death. So what happens to him?
Stopwatch guy heats up the vent.
He burns to death in the vent, and stopwatch guy, who we now know has been heating up and steaming people all this time, he gets rid of him. So safety guy's burned in the vent. Now
again, that was so dumb. He's like crawling through this heated up metal vent, and his skin is like being stuck to the heated metal, and he's got these long sleeves rolled up. I was like, did it not occur to you to maybe, much
like Roman,
roll them down a bit?
When his forearms are on the burning metal vent, he doesn't seem too concerned at first. Even lifts his arms up. He's like, oh look, my skin's come off, and my skin just come off here as well. I'm gonna put it back down, and he decides I'm gonna curl up in a ball and die. It might take a long time because it seems like he can take the heat quite well. Now we're moving on towards what is getting to the conclusion of the film.
Thank God.
And Kate and Wes, they find a picture of this, you know, clock watch apparition guy. And it turns out that we now found out that he has orchestrated the whole thing from the beginning, because in the real world, he's appeared to Kate about brokering this real estate deal. So he can also exist in the real world as a flesh and blood person and as a black and grey misty guy. So there's they find the pic of him, and it's a picture of him with Kate's grandmother. Stopwatch guy is Kate's grandfather. Mm-hmm. Right?
Great.
Bingo.
Grandfather.
Bingo.
And she gets really pissed off at Wes for finding this. She's like, What do you mean by this? Did you plant this here? I was like, yeah, genius. I'm sure he did. So
now it's at this point that Stan freaks out. He can't take this. So he runs off to, as you got wrong earlier on about the guy, Stan runs off into this other room.
Gets on a table.
He lays down on a table and he gets this rope. So like I say, you assume he's going to hang himself. But he gets down. He puts this, it's quite a flimsy rope, by the way, as well. He puts the rope around his neck and just kind of lays there. Does nothing. And like you say, the granddad
pocket watch guy,
guy, he then heats up the rope, and the mini rope burning around his neck is what kills Stan.
It's just...
the deaths in this leave quite a lot to be desired.
There's so many things that are so dumb in this, because we also... So now that everyone else is off and we've just got Wes and Kate left... And Kate is then, you know, because she's so smart. First of all, when she looks around at the ghosty pocket watch man killing Stan, she goes like, oh!
Yeah, like, sounds like an orangutan or something.
Weirdest reaction I've ever seen.
And that goes on forever as well.
She keeps popping around, going back in and being comforted by Wes and going around doing it again. Apparently Pocket Watch Guy is unaware of this, but he's still there. So Kate's like, they find some key, which they're like, oh, this must be to the stairwell for the emergency stairs so we can get out. And then she comes up with a genius plan of, I'll go to the stairs, then I'll call him over, and then you can go down the elevator shaft, and then we'll meet up outside, and all will be well. So, if she's able to get to the stairwell, and then has to call out to the guy to get his attention to come and chase her, why did they need to split up? Why could they not both have just gone to the stairwell instead of him having to try and clamber down an elevator shaft?
Maybe it's insinuated, but / not insinuated, that if they both got into, if they're both in the same place at the same time, then the apparition, he knows where to go and get them. If they split up. But what if he came after Kate? But I just wanted to say, when they make this plan to split up, it's so tacked on, is that we now have Wes and Kate like, I'm not leaving you. She's like, you have to trust me. He's like, I can't leave you. I won't leave you. It's like we're supposed to care at all about their relationship. Please trust me, Wes. Trust me. I trust you.
If she's saying this whole time as well that
they're in love. They've met 5 minutes ago. Now they're in love.
So yeah, they couldn't get out the fire escape because they didn't have the key.
You do.
But she's now casually just being like, right, we found the key, so I'm going to go out the stairs thing, and you go down the elevator shaft. I was like, well, if you guys were so desperate for all this time, why didn't you all just climb down the elevator shaft in the first place?
When they split up as well, she's trying to distract the apparition. She's like, come on, come and get me, George Carpenter.
It's
so now we know his name, George Carpenter.
And she's got like a winch tool thingy, whatever they're called, and so she keeps like smashing out the valves of the heating system, which lets out gas into the building. And as you said, she keeps running down each flight of stairs being like, come and get me, George, come and get me. But she has no idea whether or not he's following her.
And he's not. No.
So her whole plan was the most ridiculous thing ever. So her new love, Wes, I'm so worked up by this idiocy of this movie. Her new love, Wes, is doing what she said, and he's about to clamber down the elevator shaft, and old pocket watch man sees him and is like, you're not getting out. So what does he do? Apparently he goes and like grabs...
No, not apparently, he does.
Well, I say apparently because it couldn't have looked less like he was doing it. Goes and grabs Wes by the top of his hair. First of all, the apparition hand didn't even match up with the head. And second of all, Wes is still going like this with his head, looking around at stuff, and he doesn't seem to be in too much pain from his entire body weight being held up from just some hair.
I think while he's being held by his hair, like down the shaft, when George Carpenter, he's I've got my way. We think it was going, no, shit, and again his head is like constantly moving, and he just keeps saying no and shit, and then eventually he's like, just do it, kill me.
And then Pocket Watch Guy is like, no, I'm not going to. She's going to do it. And yes, she yet again proves her lack of any brain cells by, as soon as she gets to the bottom and is out of the building, which you would have thought would be enough to get away, wouldn't you? She then throws a lighter into the building before being like, wait, where's Wes?
My one true love, Wes.
And of course, floor by floor, the entire building erupts into
CGI
gaseous flames. Yeah.
CGI flame. But what's good is, when Kate is outside looking at the building burn, in all of the open, hollow windows, there's different versions of flame. So you know that it's not just, it's not fake. It's, here's some flame burning like this. Here's some flame dancing like this. And she then starts to cry.
We get loads
and
of
it
just
goes
like right
on
into her
once
mouth
again
shots.
Forever of her just sounding a bit like an orangutan again.
Oh god.
Or something along these lines. Now it kind of
all of a sudden she pulls it together, doesn't she?
The film is kind of over at this point, but we now go slightly into the future, and she's back at work. How has she managed to go back to work, you say, after all of this tragedy? Well, it turns out she is now George Carpenter in Kate's body.
It's
and she's
so
like, she's in her office.
stupid.
I can't stay here. I can't do this anymore. So she boards a flight. And
she's a rude bitch on the flight, by the way.
Well, she's George Carpenter now.
Yeah.
She's George Carpenter. She's not Kate. So George Carpenter / Kate sits in his seat, and the attendant comes over to her. She's being very nice, and as you say, George Carpenter / Kate is not being very nice back to the flight attendant. So she asks for a cocktail, and instead of a cocktail, she's brought a plastic cup of what I imagine is fizzy water.
No, flight attendant says it's a cocktail, Johnny. So
That's what the flight attendant says. That's what she says. And then...
And the flight attendant also asks her, like, business or pleasure. And George Kate...
As you do.
Is saying, like, oh, business, I'm going to buy some factories in India or whatever she says.
Pakistan and Bangladesh. She puts her hand on the cocktail, and what does it do? It starts to bubble because...
What a waste of a cocktail.
Because George Carpenter kills people through heat. So when he puts his hand on the cocktail, it bubbles through warmth, through heat. And we fly then to the other side of the world, and we just start to get news pieces about factories which aren't up to scratch, burning down in Pakistan and Bangladesh. I mean, they're really giving it to Pakistan and Bangladesh. Like,
this is, like I said, why
these places...
right at the end, it made me think that this was some kind of social...
it's profound.
Like, well, you know, they're saying, like, oh... This building burnt down because the stairwell was too, like, skinny. These people died because there was, like, no safety standards. I was like, oh my gosh, has this entire film just been some kind of in the workplace safety thing?
It's about safety precautions and protocols. And what you said about skinny, it was in one of the Bangladesh, he says, Pakistani sweatshops, the hallways were too thin.
And that's why everyone died.
For people to escape fires. So George Carpenter is like, you know, he's like a social justice warrior. He goes round and he burns down sweatshops that aren't up to code, like he did in New York. Now he's doing it on the other side of the world. But he seems to want to stay around Pakistan and Bangladesh. This is where his real work begins. And it doesn't stop because the newsreels don't stop either.
God, I hated this movie. I hated it. It was so boring and so dumb.
Why are they really sticking it to Bangladesh and Pakistan? At first, you know, after like the first 5 minutes of the movie or so, I thought it's blatantly going to be a comment on gentrification. You know, you're going to go down that tiled road, but no. Something I haven't seen before. Safety protocols. So at least it's original in that sense. And George Carpenter / Kate, you know, she gets away. She's burning down all and sundry. I don't know where people are going to get their cheap products from Bangladesh and Pakistan anymore.
It's alright, she hasn't started on the other countries yet, and there's plenty of them.
Unpermitted factory burns down, yeah. Smaller than regulation hallways, got to burn it down.
Can we move on from this movie now? Because it's...
So, Ascent To Hell is over. Let's go in your order. So we'll get on to the Dyatlov Pass Incident.
This was, like, super boring... and was pretty much like found footage style.
This is found footage-ish, but it's not like a constant, annoying, jarring, shaky cam.
Well, because
it's
I guess they're supposed to be filming a documentary,
exactly, filming a documentary. Whereas I'll get into it when we actually talk about Chernobyl Diaries, but Chernobyl Diaries has a much more tacked-on found footage style. So, Dyatlov Pass Incident. Let's get introduced to the crew. So behind the camera, you've got a girl called Molly who is making this documentary trying to find out about the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Sorry, but do you mean in front of the camera?
No, she's behind the camera first.
Oh, okay.
Because I said we're meeting the crew. So we're meeting the crew. By the way, I just want to put in here, recently we've been coming off the end of I Know What We Watched Last Week. And Karen would have corrected me on certain things, and then I'll go and look it up, and it's like, no, I was right about that. I was also right about that, and I was also right about that. So anyway, and I'm also right about this. She's behind the camera first. Molly's behind the camera, and we're introduced to our team. First of all, we've got Andy and JP hanging outside. Like, is it a school of residence university.
The University of Oregon, I believe it is.
And we're told
outside of the Hauser building.
The JP Hauser building, and we've got a character called JP there who's just kind of sitting down, and he hasn't been mountaineering or whatever it's called for a while. But Andy, on the other hand, he's climbed every single summit in the US, and now it's time for something new. Molly asked him, aren't you slightly concerned about what's happened in Russia, in the Usla Mountains, something like this, Urla Mountains. Ural Mountains. And he's like, no, man, you've always got to look for new adventures. So there we got Molly making the documentary. We've got Andy, the seasoned but young mountain climber, and JP, also a seasoned mountain climber, but has been out of the game for a while.
He'd been climbing in some mountains for like 3 months.
Now we go inside a different building.
And we get my least favourite character.
Also, Molly is still behind the camera, and she's talking... Jensen must be the only other one that's left over, because we're Andy, JP, Jensen, Molly, and boom mic operator girl, whose name is escaping me at the moment.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't ever know names.
In fact, I think Molly's on camera at this point.
Yeah, Molly's been on camera a few times.
Is now filming, because he has to zoom in.
Is so freaking annoying.
To the chest of our boom mic girl, Denise. And Denise, Jensen is like, hey... you must be really strong holding up that boom mic. And then she takes a shot at skinny guys. She's like, yeah, most skinny guys can't do this job. So, Denise is just hardcore because she's a boom mic operator. Girls can be boom mic operators too,
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah, now you know.
Now I know.
The Dyatlov Pass Incident has filled you in on this. But so the boom mic operator is Denise a chick.
Is the camera guy. And I think the first time we're introduced to him, he's actually... putting like some edit piece together on his computer, and he keeps pausing it between a professor of theirs like explaining what happened at the Dyatlov Pass, and he keeps pausing it and being like, well, that's just dumb. And oh my god, I wanted to
he's supposed to be somewhat of a conspiracy theorist as well, isn't he? It comes up, he's also a conspiracy theorist when he's talking about this stuff, because he's got a woman talking, like a government official talking about the Dyatlov Pass incident, and he's pausing it and going, if this happened, then how come yada 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 yada, and he's got all these kind of like questions as to what the government is putting out there as to what actually happened at the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a different person then, because what I'm remembering is, what's the main girl called, you said?
Molly.
Molly. It's Molly's like psychology professor or something, and she's saying, when I teach this in my class, I want my students to imagine what it would have been like to be one of these explorers that disappeared in the Dyatlov Pass.
While we get the boom mic operator scene, I'm a girl, I'm a boom mic operator. While Jensen is panning over to Denise, talking to her about her being a boom mic operator, the sound mixing, and it sounds like she's in the room and they blatantly had Jensen in a studio and just superimposed his voice into this scene.
I think they did it on purpose, though. I think they were suggesting that, because he's behind the camera, it's going to sound really different. But it was way too much of a... Yeah, it just sounded dumb. So
now, before the movie really gets going, before we even go to the mountains, we already know how it's going to end up, because we go to, again, breaking news all across the world, especially in Russia. And we find out that 5 Oregon students, the guys we just mentioned, they have gone missing in the, what do you call it, Ural Mountains. They've gone missing in the Ural Mountains, just like the Dyatlov lot. And this is breaking news, and the guys like, especially in Russia. So we know what their fate is. Now we're taking to see what's happened to them.
We get to Russia after, Jensen makes this remark of, you're not going to show it with that stupid red line, are you? And then we get the stupid red line, and again, it's that whole tongue-in-cheek thing, which
because they're showing a map, and as we know in movies, when people are talking about where they're going from one place to another, they show the map, and they do the red dotted line thing. When we get to Russia, the first place we're at is like a psychiatric unit, outside of a psychiatric unit.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, so there's one survivor of the original group of hikers who fell sick within like the first day or so and went back. So he never got to the Dyatlov Pass, which is named that, by the way, because of the lead hiker guy was called
Mr. Dyatlov.
So they're like, I assumed from the way they were talking, they'd made an appointment, because that's what you would think, right? If you're making a documentary and you want to interview someone, you make an appointment.
Yeah, this is Russia, anything goes.
But apparently they just show up at this, institution, and the doctors are having none of it.
You get out of here. And like, come on, man, we're friends now. The Cold War is over. So, do you enjoy that?
Yeah.
When you just mentioned, Mr. Dyatlov, that they've kept the original names of all the people that actually perished during the Dyatlov Pass, except for one for some reason. And I can't find an explanation as to why. They've just changed one person's name. So after the psychiatric unit part, where are we? We're abroad, so we've got to go to a dank local bar.
Well, again, I was like, how idiotic are these people? They've done zero preparation because they're like...
Well, they're American college students.
We just need to,
in a Hollywood movie.
Find a local bar and see if we can, find someone who will take us to the place we need to go. Like, have you not planned ahead in the slightest? Why don't you rent a car?
Did they even go there to find someone to take them? Because
yeah,
as far as I'm concerned, someone just comes out of the blue, like typical way.
Well, he does. But no, they were going.
Let's talk a bit about the bar.
Go to the bar,
because again, you're always going ahead. If I hadn't remind you about the psychiatric unit, you wouldn't remember that either, would you? So we're in the dank Russian bar, and luckily everyone speaks English because we're in the middle of nowhere, Russia. Yeah, of course I speak English. I serve you. So the guy behind the bar, he pours them all, an unmarked bottle of Russian alcohol.
Russian moonshine.
Yeah, and it's the guy Jensen who's at the front. He's like, "Yo, can I get that drink?" He's just
He's
being
so rude.
a massive twat.
He is.
But
I hate him.
they pour out the shots, and of course, all the guys, they're all grimace. But Denise, the boom mic operator, she knocks the shot back, no problemo, and calls all the guys pussies because, as we know, only women can handle unmarked bottles of Russian alcohol.
And then they all sober up for a minute when they find out that the bartender gave them that shot because it's what the original group drank at that bar right before they went and disappeared.
Yeah, so of course you want to tempt fate. Of course that's what you want to do. And that's when we have the local who overhears where they're going. Our group is telling the barman about where they're going. He's like, if you're going here, you must drink this. And the local, he offers to take them where to go.
This is very useful. I mean, yes, they didn't get their interview, but they just happened to find a bar, and straight away some dude is like, I will take you, I will drive you.
And it's lucky because the guy that's taking them, he's going to drop them off first at his auntie's house. She knows a lot about the incident.
She was one of the first people to find the missing bodies.
Yeah, so we get on some kind of like snowmobile thing or whatever they're being driven in a truck. They finally get there and they interview the auntie. And is she giving out much information?
Yeah, because the one piece of info that she gives out, which is, I guess somewhat important later in the film, even though again it's so stupid. We were told, and Molly knows from her limited apparently research, that there were 9 people in this expedition who perished at Dyatlov Pass. And yet this older woman is like, oh yeah, the 9, and then we found the 2 spare bodies. And Molly's like, well, what do you mean? You're saying that there were 11, but, the report said there were only 9. And Russian saying, you believe what the reports say, or you believe your eyes? So she's saying that there were 2
true.
2 more bodies than what was reported. So there's a mystery in itself. Before
they go into Auntie's house as well, one of the characters says to the local who's taken them there, can you translate this for me? Because he's seen...
it's the sign that the psychiatric patient they were going to interview holds up out the window.
So he writes it in the snow for
Molly writes it in the snow,
Molly writes it in the snow for the local to translate. And what was there any significance to that?
Stay away, I think.
Stay away, okay. Stay away, there we go. So,
but again, they're suggesting then that this guy who was turned around from his own illness within a day knows the rest of the story. But how would he know? He wasn't there.
Do you know, when I first found this movie online, I thought to myself, oh, we're actually going to get a movie that deals with the mysteries of the Dyatlov Pass. It didn't quite turn out that way. So now our lot, they're starting to now go up the mountain in the snow. They've got wearing snowshoes and all this. And of course, we haven't mentioned yet, the one and only Rennie Harlin directs this movie, director of Die Hard 2, director of Nightmare on Elm Street 4, director of course, cliffhanger where John Lithgow, Dick Solomon, and Sylvester Stallone are up a mountain cliffhanging. So of course, if you want to get a guy to record a movie, film a movie up a mountain, you go to the guy that did Cliffhanger.
How did he make this so bad?
Well, he's done a lot of stinkers. He's very much just a guy for hire. He doesn't give a crap anymore. He does not give a crap anymore.
So bored.
So when these people are going up the mountain, of course, there are stop-off points. And there's a bit where they're just... It made me think, so the first stop-off we have, one of the guys has brought along, sacks of rationed food. And it's chili in a bag and whatever else they have. Pancakes in a bag. Yeah. And when he's pouring the hot water in, I was just thinking to myself, why would anybody do this? Why the whole point?
And it's like minus 40 degrees or something.
Yeah,
crazy.
Mountain climbing up a freezing cold.
It doesn't look very fun, does it?
With rationed food. Doesn't look intriguing, appealing in the slightest. Not in the slightest. I'll go up a mountain to ski, but not this.
And also, Molly at that point very helpfully decides to wait until the moment when they're in the middle of the mountains, can't go back, and he's brought his rations to then be like, I'm vegetarian. Genius.
You would have thought, like you said, like Molly's the one that's, she's the one that's making the documentary. She's thought all this up. She's like, oh, maybe I should tell someone, my dietary habits while I'm up there.
She literally hasn't done a single second of thinking ahead. I mean, she is like a completely useless documentarian.
And at this point, so as I said at the beginning, we don't see too much of it. Molly's behind the camera at the beginning, but now we're up the mountain, we're starting to see Molly a lot. And she's standing there in front of the camera and she's explaining stuff while up the mountain about the Dyatlov Pass Incident. And not only is she a useless character, once again, like Mary in Ascent to Hell, she cannot act. She absolutely cannot act, and I'll get back to that a little bit later on. So now we're getting multiple shots of just like tents in the snow.
It's so dull.
And they're obviously camping out, and not we don't just get run of the mill tents. We got a yellow tent, a blue tent, a red tent, because this is a movie, so we've got to make it visually appealing with primary coloured tents.
We also get the first spooky sign when they're at one of their first camping stops. They find some massive footprints in the snow. And they're like, again, it's so clearly a bare foot. You can see each individual toe. And it still takes them you know what? There are no ridges. I think this person was barefoot.
Instead of wearing, Yeti-shaped footwear.
The idiocy.
Yeah.
And also the two, climber guys think that she is putting all this on for her documentary, so they're kind of pissed off at her.
Yeah, they don't believe that she hasn't put these footprints in there by herself. We now get a bit of fracturing in the group, and I would say there is quite a bit that passes before we get to the next bit I'm saying, but nothing really of note. It's just them in the snow. So the next thing that I remember is them coming to that kind of tower thing where they find. Is it a hand or something, or a foot?
It's a tongue.
It's a tongue, that's it. It's a tongue.
So Molly climbs up the little stairs. It's like those tiny...
It's a checkpoint bit, right? But
I think it's supposed to measure the weather.
Measure the weather, yeah.
Measure the weather. But it looks like those things you find all over the place in forests, which is a tiny little hunter...
Checkpoint tower thing that measures wind or temperatures or something, is what I've put.
So that's it. So there's footprints again, much like the previous ones, and she's like, they're not Yetis, but Jensen thinks they're Yetis. So she climbs up the little ladder thing, opens it, and then falls back because she saw what's apparently supposed to be a tongue. But yeah,
it's supposed to be a tongue. So we get.
We've also seen at one point when I think Molly and someone else are talking by their campsite. One of those things that you're supposed to be like, oh my God, did you see that? Because it's not explicitly pointed out at that point in the film yet, but we see two kind of creature things crawling in the background. Yeah,
that is the next bit. So I've written annoying guy Jensen. You found him. I've only written annoying guy because you found him super annoying. He was annoying, but I wasn't aware how annoying until you pointed out. So we got annoying guy Jensen, and he's sitting with Molly in the snow. He's talking about a visions that he had of demons. He's telling a story about visions of demons, and Molly quips back with something, and he says something like, "Hey, you're really smart. You're like Velma. And she's like, who's Velma? This is what really peed you off, wasn't it? She doesn't know who Velma Dinkley is
Velma
from the one and only, your favourite. Actually, your real favourite this time. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Yeah. So she's never heard of Velma. There he is. And so at this point, I say, it's when he's telling that story as well that you said we see these two beings walking past in the distance.
And is this also when she reveals, like, oh, don't worry, because I used to have a dream as well that was recurring.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you're not mad because I've got something too. It's like, great.
So we've now had this
better.
mountain talk, which brought in Velma, which I thought this might have put it number one for you because of the Velma bit, and not only the Velma bit, but we've got more directly related to you coming later. So we get now, because technically this is Blair Witch Project up a mountain in the snow. So where they're trying to get to, we get a whole, we've been walking around for this long and we haven't got to where we're supposed to be, and shouldn't we be here by now? Have you checked the map? Blah, 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 blah. Very Blair Witch, just in the snow. And then one of them was like, we need to head back. We need to abandon the mission before it gets too dark. And we got Molly's like, no, this is what we came here for. We came here for this.
Molly recognises the spot, the Dyatlov Pass spot, even though the guys are like, well, it doesn't make sense on the map. And then they're taking out their various, compasses and
there's a magnetic field and some radiation emanating from somewhere, which she finds with, I believe, JP. Molly and JP then run up a bit of the mountain, and they start digging away at the snow.
No, it's the camera guy. It is the camera guy.
Is that not JP who's doing the camera?
No, Jensen is the camera guy.
So it's just Jensen. Okay, so it's Jensen
it's her
and Molly.
Jensen, yeah. Okay. Because the two climbers are still not too pleased with her at this point. They think she's
Jensen JP. I mean,
they think she's like winding them up and stuff.
Yeah. But when they find this radiation and this magnetic field, they go to a certain part in the mountain, and she starts digging away while Jensen just stands there filming. And there's a secret door in the snow, but they decide not to tell the rest of the gang.
Don't want to freak them out.
Because don't want to freak anybody out, exactly. So
and also,
nothing
Jensen
more
at
dangerous.
One point says to her, like, this door locks from the outside. Mm-hmm. We're in Russia.
To keep something
We don't know what's been experimented on. We don't know what's happening. Should we really open this door? She's like, well, that's what we came for, isn't it? To film a documentary.
What are we here for? Yetis, aliens, Soviet warriors. Of course, that's what I want to see. I want to see aliens and Yetis when I'm up a mountain with no escape route.
I mean, she kind of deserves to die, doesn't she?
So she starts telling Yetis, help me open it, but they can't open it because it's pretty much frozen shut.
Yeah.
So once again, she's no Velma. She's been called a Velma. She's a dumbass. Now they want to keep it secret from each other. So now we're back around at the campfire, and you have to remind me: is it now JP who is talking to Molly, and JP picks up the attention of Molly because he's reading Kurt Vonnegut's
Slaughterhouse 5.
Slaughterhouse 5, who is your family member. Yeah.
Distant relation, apparently.
Distant relation of you. Slaughterhouse 5, surely people out there watch this, they've got to be someone that's read it. It's pretty famous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, very famous indeed. So yeah, once again, we've got Velma from Scooby-Doo, and we've got your family member, Mr. Vonnegut.
I've read
Slaughterhouse 5.
I didn't really get it.
Way to support the family, Carmen. So they're talking to each other.
Well, also he's telling Molly that his mate, the other climber guy. This is what I was about to get into.
Okay. Yeah, Andy. So he's telling that Andy is making the moves on Denise, the boom mic operator. He's telling Molly that he's previously filmed lots of snowy and icy sexual interactions with random women, which he secretly films. And Molly's like, cool, pretty much.
What the fuck?
She's not a feminist.
She's not a girl's girl.
She's not a girl's girl, no, like most girls aren't.
If I was out there with a girlfriend, or even if I didn't know her that well, and some guy is telling me, oh yeah, he has this thing where every time he goes climbing, apparently there's always girls around. He'll have a one night stand and film it without her knowledge. That is not funny. That is something that you try and prevent from happening.
Yeah.
I mean.
So JP is telling of Andy's secretly filming his frozen shags.
And lo and behold, they do go off into the tent.
The thing is, JP at the same time, he's kind of like making it he's making what do you call it, an argument for snuggling up in the cold, freezing weather. He just
But Molly then comes onto him essentially.
He just puts it out there. That's what he's doing. He's laying the foundations. You know, it's nice to snuggle in the cold. And just as Andy and his boommark operator girl were going into the tent, Molly's like to JP, well, why don't we go and snuggle? And he's like, oh.
Really?
He cannot believe his luck. And now we go into the tent of Dirty Andy, who's with Dirty Denise. She knows, like, she's found out pretty quickly that he's got the camera on. And she's like, oh no, turn it off. It's not very like, turn it off, is it? She wants the camera on pretty much. And this is why they get punished.
Johnny, no means no.
No, it's not when it's, oh my God, turn the camera off. I can't believe I'm on camera, like that style. So they've already done it once. They're about to do it again. JP's about to get lucky snuggling with Molly, but then we hear what sounds like an explosion. It's an avalanche.
Well, it was an explosion that started the avalanche, wasn't it? Yes, they all...
Who set it off?
Yeah. They're all running out. And at this point, again, I was like, well, 2 of them, at least, know about this door, cave area. Can't they just tell everyone, follow me, and go and, hide in that little safe space? But no. That makes too much sense.
I've also neglected to mention that Jensen is really butthurt about Andy getting with Denise because he said along the lines of, why is it always someone else and not me? How come I don't get any tail? Well, it's because you're a whiny little twat. That's why you're not getting any action with the ladies. Even JP's getting action now, or was about to. So this avalanche happens. Denise is kaput.
Yeah.
She's gone.
Swept away.
Like I said, because she's already given it up once. And secondly, she's quite happy to be on camera. At the same time, Andy's also done because his leg's broken.
Yeah.
So his leg is done. So again, he's had sex. Luckily for JP and Molly and Jensen, they have not had sex. No, not had sex. So they've not been injured. So them 3 have come out
I don't
intact.
Think they're virgins.
They come out intact. Yeah, but you can't be going up and doing this mission in the Dyatlov Pass Incident and expect to have sexy time on camera, stuff like this, and get away scot-free. But the other 3, they've resisted.
And they do realise at this point, they're like, well, someone clearly set off, caused the avalanche by some sort of explosion. And they're like, wait, people knew where we were going to be, when we were going to be here. And so clearly other people are far more organised than they are.
It's at this incident that Molly and Jensen decide to tell JP and Andy that they found the bunker door. There's more fracturing.
Why didn't you tell us?
On the mountain.
And we also get a couple of people walking up the mountain towards them, and Molly's like, oh, thank God, salvation.
Before this, JP is really pissed off. He's been about to snuggle with Molly. And now he's been told that he's not been told about the secret bunker. I was thinking, yeah, he's been kept secrets from, and he's now backed up. So of course he's mad at Molly. He was about to unload on the mountain. Now he's not going to get that. So he's pissed off. And we also get now a very tacked on, as I said, Jensen has been, very perturbed that he's not getting any action. And he thinks that he should be with Denise, but Andy always gets the action. So now Andy's got his broken leg. And he's like, you guys leave me, because as you said, there's two people coming up the mountain.
Yeah,
and before anything happens with them, you've got kind of Jensen and Andy like, I'm sorry about Denise. He's like, don't mention it, bro. Because there's bigger things to think about now.
Yeah, well, because he didn't really mention that Andy probably could have helped Denise, but he was prioritising himself. Didn't really work out.
The cad.
Got his leg broken. But yeah, also, so these 2 people, obviously Molly's calling out, saying, oh, someone's hurt, help us. And then one of the climbers is like, well, hang on, they haven't got packs on, there's no way they could have gotten here in time. There's clearly bad news. So, yeah, leave me. I'll just slow you down. So now he's being very selfless.
Very selfless now. And, he decides to shoot a flare gun at these 2 they're Russian soldiers, apparently, or, communist soldiers come up the mountain. So he shoots a flare gun at them. They shoot a real bullet at him, and he's dead. So that's the end of Andy. They also get a quick shot off at, I believe, JP.
Yeah, so as the 3 remaining people are trying to get into
they're running
door,
towards the bunker, yeah.
Well, they're trying to open it, and that's when JP gets a shot through, like, the shoulder or something. But they manage to get the frozen door open.
It opens now, it's not frozen anymore.
And in they go, and of course the 2 military people, whoever, lock them in from the outside.
Yeah, so now we are inside the bunker. There's no power on at first, but if we quickly find the power, turn it all on, and it's just a giant tunnel. Just a giant tunnel.
A few tunnels, and again we get a little spooky thing of like something crawling at the end of one of the tunnels that they don't. They're not aware.
So they kind of like they wander around the tunnels for a bit, and they get to a kind of place where they find some files on people that have, I believe, perished up here before, and they've got these kind of like big Soviet machines. It's all very GoldenEye. Very James Bond, this part, when I'm looking through these classified files with these giant machines I found.
Yeah, it's like an abandoned operation room office. So clearly
Control
like stuff
center.
was being experimented down here, and they've got all these old papers. And again, there's like mentions of various conspiracy theories stuff, and there's like pictures that are evidence of things having happened.
I just want to say as well, before they get into the bunker, and they're running up the mountain away from the 2 soldiers. I just want to commend Jensen's camera work, because, you know, he doesn't seem, you know, too put off by it. He's keeping everyone in shot. The camera's not shaking around too much. He's getting all the footage that he needs to get so that we as an audience can watch it as a movie, a professional movie. You know, so Jensen, you've got to commend Jensen on, you know, not panicking too much. His friend just being shot in the face, and this avalanche that's just happened, and finding out that there's a bunker.
It's so dumb.
So kudos to him. I'm not sure that I could have had control of the camera like that.
They're making their way through, and they get to this point that you mentioned. And of course, by this point now, JP has lost so much blood. He's like, you know, I can't go on. So they leave him sitting there, and they're like, we're going to go find a way out. We're going to come back for you. So they go off, and they see... I think this is where they find, like, a body of a soldier strapped to a bed, and his tongue is gone. So Molly's like, oh, it was his tongue in the... But
they find
why?
the Weather Tower tongue execution chamber. And at the same time...
What is the point of that?
Remember when they were at the psychiatry unit at the beginning, and the guy was filming it on a flip camera? All of a sudden, the camera is in the control unit as well. It's a teleporting camera. Teleporting camera from the psychiatric unit.
Yeah, and it's almost out of battery, but it's still alive. So Jensen's like, oh, quick, fast forward, stop. And we see essentially like a split-second difference between what they're currently filming and what's there.
Then we hear JP scream, and it turns out he's been eaten what looks like the Slender Man, naked.
Yeah.
Without his suit.
Being eaten by something. And then... So Molly and Jensen are trying to run away, and
it's these 2 things that we've previously seen in the background in the snow walking
which
past
looked
them.
better in the background because now we start seeing them. Apparently, they can teleport. They can teleport, and this is
for you. What put the movie below? This for me. What put it at number 1 was the ridiculousness of the teleportation part of the movie.
Horrendous. So you would think, you know, being in some underground bunker thing that's been abandoned, that has creatures in it, it's dark, you keep losing power, you would be like, surely you can't fail but to make this kind of creepy. But the levels of shitness for the CGI of these like floating, teleporting creature things, again, it was like...
Floating, teleporting, naked Slender Men. What's not to like?
It was atrocious. It was like a computer game from the 90s.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not if you want it to be believable. And I also didn't understand, so Jensen and Molly make it through to another, like, they close another door, and apparently they can't teleport through this door thing. But also, Molly at this point is like, oh, they could have gotten us, which they could have done. Why didn't they? And Jensen's like, well, I guess they must have wanted us to get here.
And here is the portal.
But hang on, just before you say that, how does that make sense?
Well, again, you just got to kind of...
Why would they want them there? Why didn't they get them?
What you've got to think about, instead of thinking that, you've got to think, right, Rennie Harlin is here in his career, doesn't give a monkeys, let's just go with the portal / why are these two naked Slendermen, just let us get on with it.
There's more of them than just two, I think.
Yeah, but they do focus on two for the most part while we're in here. Oh,
it's so stupid.
So now, can we go to the portal now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, the bit that elevated the movie for me. And of course, Jensen works out, he's like, the creatures, they can teleport. Molly's like, okay, she just takes us on board. She's like, you must be right. Jensen then has an idea. He looks around, he's like, here's a portal. But there are no controls, no buttons, like nothing to control this portal. So it must be a portal to just one fixed place. Or
if you envision something,
think of where you want to go, where you want to travel.
It will take you.
Maybe make it the most fresh memory you have.
This really aggravated
So
me.
Molly's then like, the freshest memory I have is being at the side of the mountain. So instead of like, I'd be like Hawaii, because I don't need a fresh memory. I can just imagine what Hawaii is like, and I'll just put Hawaii in my head, and then I'll throw myself into the portal.
Well, that makes no sense, because if you're just imagining a make-believe place, then you're not going to end up anywhere.
Hawaii's not make-believe.
Yeah, but you've never been, so you wouldn't have a clear image.
All right, I'll go. All right, Malibu. I'll be like, right, I think about Malibu.
Fair, fine.
I've been there.
I mean, I would have just thought about going home.
Let's go.
Sure.
Why do you want to go? Why do you want to go home? You go to Malibu. This is a portal. So I'll be thinking, right, I'll go there. Molly, the Velma of the group, the smart Velma, is like, right, let's just put ourselves back at the bottom of the mountain.
Not even the bottom, literally right outside the door.
Outside the door.
So you're just as bad off as you were before. How are they going to get down? They haven't got any provisions. The avalanche took everything away.
Think of the freshest thing inside your mind, outside the mountain.
Also, you've never watched the films, but this, to me, I was like, oh, clearly they've watched Harry Potter, because the teleport thing they do in Harry Potter, you have
there's a portal in Harry Potter.
There's not a portal, but you can teleport, and you have to imagine the place where you want to go.
Are there naked Slendermen?
No, Jonathan, there are not.
Does he get out his big wand? So... We also then, while Jensen is explaining stuff to Molly about the portal, we now get another mention of the Slaughterhouse 5. She says something like, "Oh, it's very Slaughterhouse 5." Remember what they were referring to at that point? Is there a portal in Slaughterhouse 5?
No, I mean, like I said, I didn't really get it, but Slaughterhouse 5 is more of like a war book, so I don't really know what she meant by that either.
Maybe they were talking about the war soldiers coming up the mountain. But anyway, they both decide we're gonna think of the side of the mountain, and we're gonna jump through this portal. So through they go. They
do, yeah. And then the next thing we see is the two of them, clearly, their bodies. We just see like the bottom half of their body lying in the snow. And some Ruskies are there, like Russian army people. And then we get two civilian hikers. And we find out from insinuation that the hikers, one of them, the woman, is the old woman who originally said that she saw two extra bodies. And now we realise these are the two extra bodies, which also makes us realise that we've gone back in time. So the portal kind of worked. It brought them what they were thinking of, but it also brought them back like 50 years or something, inexplicably. And the Russians take these two bodies into the cave system, into the now functional office operation experimentation area, and
GoldenEye.
Yeah, they're like, oh, hang these two separately because the scientist or whoever will want to have a look at them.
I have never seen clothes like this before. What are these clothes that these people are wearing? Because they're from the future, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So they take the clothes off of these bodies and leave them in their underwear, and they've become all like grey and
they're the new
hollowed out,
Slenderman-ish.
and they're hung on hooks. And then right at the end, to show us why apparently this all started out, the female one like wakes up and turns her head, and you can see the tattoo that Molly had, as if we didn't already know that that's who they were supposed to be.
They just want to want to hammer it
Just
home.
make sure you know. So this, again, so that's supposed to be like the big, yeah, now everything should make sense. It makes no sense. And the fact that that camera
in a
was
portal.
there,
Out the portal.
the camera that you said that, you know, we saw the split-second
the
difference.
teleporting camera.
Yeah, so they obviously took this camera through with them, and then the Russians found it when they found them. We see the Russian guy, like, put it down on the table, where they then later find it. But are you telling me that this camera has a battery that lasts for 50 years?
Well, who knows what happens when you go through the portal.
And then it dies,
And,
as
you
they're
know,
watching.
You forget about the electromagnetic fields. You know, that could keep going. All the radiation, whatever else it was, could keep it going.
And clearly the two of them
Mm-hmm.
are the ones who then ran amok and, like,
Yep.
basically shut the place down and escaped and just... it's supposed to make sense, like, oh, we're so smart, you see what we did here? But it's literally, like, it's so dumb.
The lesson of the film is, if you find yourself in a similar situation and you have to go through a portal, don't think of a Russian mountain, think Malibu.
It's lucky that they did think of a Russian mountain, though, because imagine if they had gone to Malibu, then you'd have those weird things running around Malibu.
But would they have ended up in the same state if
I
they're
think
going
so.
to, you know, sunshine Southern California?
Yeah, I don't think it's where they ended
With
up.
no
that changed
Russians,
them. I think it's just the fact
for
that
the most part.
this portal apparently does that to people, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm calling it number one.
Boring.
It was pretty boring because there's a bunch of people sitting around on a mountain eating freeze-dried chili and things like this. But
Ugh.
the reason it's number one, we'll get into now, because my number two, your number one, Chernobyl Diaries. Chernobyl Diaries, Yanks in Chernobyl. What could go wrong? Get introduced to our crew through videos of them larking about, having loads of fun on the what's that, you know, that walkway that you get in the airports,
Like the flat escalator.
yeah, flat
thing.
escalator that moves, and they're all around different parts of Europe,
Conveyor
having fun,
belting.
taking selfies, all to the musical stylings of Supergrass and their 90s hit All Right. So you know that these guys are a fun-loving bunch. This goes on for about 2 minutes, and I had to pause the television because Karin at this point says to me, I'm already done with this group of idiots. And that was at 2 minutes 15. I said, hang on, give it a minute. I gave it about another 4 minutes because after 7 minutes, I was done with this larky crew.
It was so annoying and so try hard. They're obviously setting up the whole idea that this is a group of Yanks who are, like, you know, backpacking around Europe, and that's why what happens ends up happening.
And they're not annoying.
They were so freaking obnoxious, and also it was just really fake. I was like, no one actually does this, surely. I've never seen anyone do that. I mean, so annoying. Yeah.
So our crew are, right, we've got Chris, we got the lead guy Chris, his girlfriend Natalie, and their friend Amanda. Now they are going to meet Chris's brother Paul in Ukraine and eventually end up in what they call Moscow. Yeah, and so we get to Ukraine. Chris meets up with his brother Paul, and the first thing we have is like a little party. And Paul starts obviously coming on to the single girl Amanda. Chris tells his brother Paul that, hey bro, I'm gonna propose while we're here, and all he's like, oh my god bro, that's so cool. And we leave the party. As we're leaving the party, it's nighttime in Ukraine, so what do they run into down the alleyway? Ukrainian thugs. Because as we all know, Ukrainian men are all ogres, right?
Wrong'uns.
Yeah. So that's now this movie, you have to understand, Chernobyl Diaries. I think it's either 2012, 2013. So this is pre-invasion, right? Pre-Russian invasion. So this is a time when the BBC would like to run, like, every month a documentary about how everyone in Ukraine is a Nazi, how everyone in Ukraine is corrupt, and how everyone in Ukraine loves to take this homemade drug made out of battery fluid called crocodile. So now I know, again through the BBC, that Ukraine is not full of any Nazis or bad people or drug addicts. They're all in Russia now. But now I know that. So I just wanted to make that clear. This is pre-invasion. All the Ukrainians are scumbags.
And this is also when we find out that apparently Paul, who, to be fair, is living in Ukraine, but hasn't been there for a very long time, I don't think, he speaks fluent Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Because, as you do.
Yeah.
That's, he, talks to the guys, stop wolf whistling at these chicks.
Yeah.
And off they wander. That, again, was, a super pointless moment in the movie, by the way. That leads to nothing.
It leads to... Well, it's just to show, like I say, this is pre-invasion. So we have to show that Ukraine are full of scumbag Nazis, drug addicts, and corrupt people, just like the BBC told me, until it stopped. And I don't know why they stopped running those documentaries telling me that all Ukrainian people are Nazis, because they seem to have just completely changed their tune now. Strange. So Chris, as we say, Chris is with his girlfriend Natalie. Paul is here. And the whole point is that they're going to go to Ukraine to meet Paul, but then they're going to go on to Moscow, because they can't say Moscow. But instead, the brother, Paul, talks them all in to taking some extreme diversion to Chernobyl. So we get Yuri's super happy fun time extreme excursions. So we get our crew of 4 are in Yuri's office. He was like, "Here, I will take you guys to Chernobyl." And while we're in the office, we also get now... They are joined by Michael and Zoe, who pop in, who are Australian backpackers for realism. Because, of course, you can't go backpacking.
She's Icelandic or something.
Yeah, but you can't go anywhere around order backpacking without having your token Aussie, can you? It's just impossible.
And he's got a massive beard and a condom hat thing. And he cannot act either. But going back just a little bit...
Another guy you hated.
When they're having their breakfast and Paul is like, "Hey guys, let's do some extreme tourism and go and see Chernobyl."
Not Moscow.
And first of all, the younger brother is kind of pissed off because he's like, "Dude, I was going to propose to my girlfriend in Moscow. And now you're completely ruining that plan." And he's also, though, the only one of the group. Both girls are like, "Yeah, let's go." I'm like, "You're right. So you went and saw the Colosseum, you were in the Venetian canals, you've been to the castles in Germany. Now let's go and see some rundown shithole that's full of radiation." That makes sense.
That's why you let men make the decisions and don't let them side with the idiotic man.
Baffling.
Chris should have stuck to his guns and be like, "No, we're going to Moscow. Okay, I'm going to propose in Moscow." So we're now introduced to Yuri, the tour guide. And he's like, "Come on, everybody." He gets them all in his, his Soviet era truck.
His was my favourite performance, and my favourite character as well.
Well, I was going to get there a bit later, but agreed. So Yuri now he takes them to this checkpoint because they need to go to Pripyat, right, which is the town just next to Chernobyl.
Where all the workers live,
exactly,
right?
where all the workers
families.
live with their families and things like this. But he gets to the checkpoint, to Pripyat, and the 2 guys at the barricade tell him, "You're not coming in today. There's some special stuff going down. Turn this thing around."
No visitors.
So everyone's kind of bummed out. It's like, "Dude, we paid for this."
Oh my God, Paul.
Dude, we paid for this.
Yeah,
we paid for this, dude.
Such a freaking dick. Just ask for a refund and be like, "So now what? Huh, Yuri? Huh? We paid. Yuri, come on, get us in." So then they're like, "Oh, this is a really smart thing to do." Again, we're in an Eastern European place where the army has stationed and said, "Do not go in there. Let's go and find a secret way in."
But Paul shouldn't worry because Yuri, he know more than one way into Pripyat. And I take you. Now, the way that he takes them, the road, and he warns them all, it's a bit bumpy. He says, "It's going to get a bit bumpy." Then they start going over the bumps. And the 6 American grown adults in the back going over these bumps, you would have thought they were 4-year-olds on a log flume ride at the Chessington World of Adventures. Ah!
Not even just once, But like multiple times.
Not just once. And also,
they're having such a great time.
You know, Yuri you said Yuri's a great guy. I agree. Yuri's the best character. Yuri's the best actor. Yuri wants to make the Yanks feel at home. So of course, as well as the bumpy ride, he says, "Hey, if anybody get hungry, I have beef jerky." So he's got some beef jerky on him because we know Yanks love that meat candy.
He also psychs them out at the water.
Yes, that's what I was going to go to next. So he drops them off a little bit at the water. Yuri
I want to show you something.
Yes, Yuri goes to the water. He's like, I put my hand in water. He pretends he's being attacked because just beef jerky. It's only beef jerky. So yeah, Yuri is the man. He is the man.
He's a joker.
He's lived through. He's been a previous soldier, I believe, and now his new business is this extreme tourism. So he's lived through Chernobyl as well. He's the heart and soul of the movie.
Even though that was a joke, they do find a mutated fish washed up on the side. So clearly something is going on in the water.
But we finally, after the bumpy ride and the beef jerkiness, we get to Pripyat. And Amanda decides to start taking photos. And she's taking photos of apartment buildings, Ferris wheels. That's all we got. That's all we have in Pripyat is one Ferris wheel and some blown out apartment buildings.
And I'm sorry, but like they kept saying like, "Wow, this is amazing."
People used to live in that apartment.
The way it looked, you could literally be in any like poor area of Ukraine,
except for it's Serbia/Hungary.
It would look exactly the same, except just maybe have a couple of people. Kayla outside.
And it's Serbia/Hungary. Yeah, that's the second time she yowled.
Yeah,
I'll go and
better
save
let
her.
her in. So like I said, when you've been to Rome and you've been to Paris and you've been to all these amazing places in Europe, that's the beautiful sight that you're really interested in.
Think about how awe-inspiring they must have found it, being at the Trevi Fountain or the Colosseum. It's considering how excited they are to see just hollowed out white buildings around a load of, unleafy trees. Unleafy, that's a real word now.
Unleafy.
Yeah.
And Yuri, being the fantastic tour guide that he is, brings them into some of the buildings. And I think one of the first weird things that they come across is the carcass of a dog at the entrance to one of them, and they're only one of them is like, ew, oh my god. I would be really devastated if I saw that, but they all just kind of step over it and get on with stuff. And Yuri's like, this is very unusual. Normally there's not animals here.
It's because they're
heartless.
Entitled Yanks, right? Which is how Americans seem to write other Americans, it seems, all the time.
Yeah, they don't like each other.
No, they don't very much so.
So we get some more.
They're walking around this building, and there's really there's just nothing there. And I say it's just a hollowed out building.
Really interesting.
And they keep they're walking to a balcony, and they'll look over, and once again they're like, "Whoa,
wow!
So you're telling me someone lived there too?" It's like, yes, people used to live in the apartment buildings before they were hit by this radiation. Now, there's a point in here where, Yuri, as I said, he's lived through this. He knows about it. It's a bit of a tear in his eye. He's the heart and soul of this. Unfortunately, the tour of the apartment building has to come to an end because a radioactive bear runs out of nowhere in the apartment building and freaks everybody out. Time to leave the apartment building because you can't be having radioactive bears running around.
But hang on, because there was one other thing here that I want to ask you about, because basically when the tour group is looking around this shitty rundown apartment
it's awe-inspiring
and marveling at the gravel outside,
whoa.
Yuri,
they're from America as well. They must have seen some great cities. And then
Yuri can clearly smell something, and he spots a really small, recently put out fire, which is smouldering and smoking, and clearly he doesn't want the group to know about it, and he just kind of uses his boot to sort of push it aside and stamp it out. But this, to me, again, I'm like, so he doesn't seem very surprised by this. So what does he think is going on? Because it's not like a bear's going to have lit that fire.
Well, this is why at this point in the movie, I was seeing Yuri with the the depression on his face when he comes into the apartment building. We know that he's been in the war. We know that now he's doing this job because, there are not many opportunities in Ukraine anymore. So when he sees the fire and stuff like that, I thought, right, Yuri's going to, later on he's going to reveal something that he knows, which he's not letting to anyone else. But instead, once this radioactive bear runs through the apartment and they all leave, they go back to the car, but the car/truck, but it's been tampered with. It won't start.
Some cable's been cut or something.
So essentially, Yuri, he works alone. So they're stranded.
And Paul, yet again, oh my god, Yuri, what the fuck, Yuri? What are we gonna do, Yuri? Yuri! I'm like, geez, Paul, that's really helpful, isn't it?
At this point, Yuri, he pulls out a gun to let you know, as if let everyone know, like, we're stranded in this weird place, but I do have a gun. Ironically, all the Americans are like, oh my god, is that a gun?
Why have you got a gun?
They're appalled at the sight of a gun. Yeah, I found that very, very strange.
Especially because
not true to life.
In their situation, I would have been super grateful that there's some form of protection for us.
Well, I guess like we've already mentioned, these are a bunch of idiots.
And also, he says basically that the checkpoint is like, he said it's like 10 kilometers or something. Mm-hmm. It's really close. I was like, that wouldn't take any time. Why don't you all just get out and walk, idiots? Yeah,
it would take over an hour, but you get there. Yuri decides that he's going to leave, and he's gonna check some stuff out, and he also goes
because they're hearing noises, aren't they?
Hearing noises, so he also goes with Chris, our main guy with his girlfriend who he's going to propose to. So Yuri and Chris go out into the darkness. Also, we hear pop, 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 pop. We hear the gunshots go off. The rest of them in the truck are kind of like freaking out what's going on. Chris manages to get himself back, but there's no Yuri. And this is the end of Yuri. So, like you said, best character by far, best actor by far. He was going to be the heart and soul of the movie, was the heart and soul of the movie. You get this kind of deal with him where you're thinking, he knows something, but they just don't take it anywhere. Mm-hmm. They get rid of him, so now we're just stuck with these blithering buffoons.
So again, his seemingly knowing
movie is done for me
that something's going on with the fire thing makes no sense and doesn't lead anywhere.
I think the fact that they killed off Yuri also is why it's demoted to number 2 for me. So they managed to they camp out in the truck, but as I say,
and also the car battery runs out.
They haven't
even got light anymore.
No more light.
But again, I always think in these situations so they've already heard noises, something's got on Yuri and attacked Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris.
So he's injured
badly.
Quite badly injured. Oh, by the way, I think it's in this movie where they lost me 100% again with how they dealt with that, because he's got 2 wounds on his leg, further up the thigh and further down, and I saw them trying to bandage his leg up or something, but they put the bandage around his knee.
Well, like I said, they're a bunch of fools.
I mean, do they not understand the concept of a tourniquet, to stop the blood flow? I mean, it's below one of the wounds. I was like, that's doing bugger all to stop his bleeding.
Karen, this is Chernobyl Diaries.
The idiocy.
This is Chernobyl Diaries.
These people have zero, survival skills, clearly.
They managed to camp out until morning in the van. And then we have the Aussie guy. And we also have Paul and the single girl. They go for a walk looking for Yuri. It's we're going to go and find Yuri because it's daytime now. So it's got to be safe, obviously. And again, there's walking around this area with the hollowed out buildings, just more hollowed out buildings is all we see. And they come to this room.
They seem to know where Yuri
with
went.
With a pond room. There's this water
that was the
feature.
Coolest looking thing in the entire thing.
Well, it was the only cool thing.
Only interesting moment.
And it wasn't even that cool, just because of the rest of it. And they find Yuri's walkie-talkie.
Yes, they found his walkie-talkie outside, and then they follow a trail of blood through this pond area.
Yeah, not much happens, and then they go back to the van.
Something does happen, because it's
nothing of note for me then.
They find Yuri's mangled body, and they hear something happening, and the 2 guys get out of the room they're in, but the girl is still in there, and there's some creature in there as well. And, she manages to get the gun from under, Yuri's gun.
Yuri's body, yeah.
and run out of the room as the creature's chasing her. So at this point, they know that there's something that is not dog, which is what they originally thought. They thought it was a pack of dogs that had attacked Yuri and Chris.
But then there is a pack of dogs later.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Again, anyway, so now after that discovery of this monster, which I don't recall,
and they've got a gun now.
Yeah, they've got the gun and the walkie-talkie. They go back to the van and they decide that they're going to try and take Chris for help, the injured Chris. So of course they try to lift him up, but straight away he's like, no, he can't do it. His leg is too injured. So he sends off his brother Paul to essentially, like, with the Aussie and the two girls this time, but, you know, the girl, his missus says she's going to stay back with him. So as they go off, the whole time, because, you know, they were supposed to be going to Moscow, they've ended up in Chernobyl or Pripyat, and it's all going wrong. You've had Chris, like, just berating Paul. Like, every time I meet up with you, stuff goes wrong. You're always getting me into trouble. I hate you. You're a loser. You're a burnout. And he's been, you know, Paul's really been taking it in the shorts from his brother Chris.
Well, he kind of deserves it, though.
Kind of deserves it. But now that Chris is injured, and, you know, Paul's come back to say, oh, let's go and get him to, you know, wheel him out of here, and they figure that they can't, they decide that Paul, Amanda, Zoe, and the Aussie guy, they're going to go wander off and get help. And they're going to leave Chris and Natalie in the van. Natalie being Chris's, you know, fiancée-to-be, possibly. And just as Paul's about to set off, Chris is like, Paul, I just wanted to... And Paul's like, no, you don't need to say it. And it's, again, at this point, it's like, their relationship is not important in this movie. It's not important that they don't get along or do get along. It adds absolutely nothing. It's just more of that lazy script writing. Or what can we do here? Or let's have conflict between the brothers because one's a fuck up and one's, you know, a regular guy. We just have them moaning the whole time. Then we can have a reconciliation because it's starting to go wrong. Yeah. And he's like, don't you mention it, bro. So I couldn't give a toss about the relationship. Why did I write his brother? So then we're back with the four of them. This time we're looking around at an abandoned car park. Or at least a place where cars have been abandoned. Well,
because they're actually on their way to a checkpoint, but they had to make some excursions because they've got that radiation thermometer, I'm going to call it. So they've been doing excursions and they find this abandoned car park.
Like gigameter or something like that.
And Aussie bloke, who's a bit of a mechanic apparently, is like, hey, if we find a cable
here... Well,
here...
Aussies do all kinds of jobs, don't they? If you meet an Aussie who's a barman over here, they're a bit of everything, yeah.
So they start opening up the various cars to find a cable.
But then come the I've got to assume radioactive packs of dogs are running around the car park as well. So they have to run away.
Not before. Two of the group, Paul and the girl or whatever, they go into a bus and they figure out... Oh, hang on, there's like riddled with bullet holes, but they're coming from the inside out. So someone was like holed up trying to protect themselves. And then, as you said, this pack of dog comes.
Radioactive dogs, because they're in Pripyat.
But they do have a cable, by the way. They found one by this point that works.
Yeah.
And rather than be like, oh, this group of rabid dogs that looks pretty pissed off is running towards us, let's just quickly hop into one of these vehicles where they can't get to us. They decide to try and outrun them.
And really they run to a dilapidated kind of bridge, which they all try to cross. Aussie
it's
guy,
the Icelandic girl who
Zoe
is useless.
Yeah, and she kind of like makes it happen that the Aussie guy falls into the water, and he either just cuts himself or he gets nipped by a radioactive fish.
So she falls in because she's useless. Aussie guy, who's known her for a month, apparently loves her and jumps in to save her. And then as you say, he gets attacked by some kind of fish thing. Yeah,
some kind of fish. It's not beef jerky this time. It's an actual radioactive.
And as we all know, dogs,
fish.
Are all afraid of water, so they don't bother trying to chase after them once they get to that bit.
So you've mentioned at this point in the movie, we're quite far in, and I've noted down that the camera work in this has left a lot to be desired. More so, much more so than Dyatlov Pass Incident. But how can we remedy that? I know. Tacked on Class A found footage scene, which involves Chris in the van with his girlfriend Natalie. Now, why would they put this all of a sudden ultra shaky cam footage in at the completely wrong point of the movie. I'll tell you why. It's Chernobyl Diaries. The producer. I'm Oren Peli, creator of Paranormal Activity. So, I know what people want. I am the second coming after Blair Witch Project in 1999 of the found footage phenomenon. So I know that people want lots of shaky cam, lots of noise, lots of shouting, all at the same time. And if I don't give them that, then I'm not Oren Peli of Paranormal Activity. That's what's gone on here. So they've tacked on this. So we're now in the van. We are now in the van, right? They've kind of avoided for the most part like ultra found footage style, but Oren Peli has stepped in as producer, and for some reason, Chris's girlfriend is just filming him in the van, struggling and crying and moaning in pain.
That's what I would do if you were on like death's door. I would start.
It's
filming
like,
you.
what's wrong with you? Oren Peli's like, he's got a chubby over this because it's really shaky and it's really loud. They've put in, if you're going to put in a found footage part, you know, why not put it in the most nonsensical, stupid bit of the movie?
Yeah, and basically this is supposed to cover the bit because our group, after, you know, being attacked by mutant fish or whatever, gets back to the van, but the van is upside down and empty, right? So it's been attacked, and I think that's why they put the found footage bit in, to try and show the moment when the whole thing gets
Yes, but the point is,
over.
before the van is attacked, she's just sitting there.
Yes.
For some reason, she can't hold the camera straight. They're not being attacked.
She's emotional, Johnny.
She's just filming, and it's at this point as well, when she is filming, Chris is like, I was gonna... She's like, no, don't propose. Do it right. She's like, yeah, thinking, look, I don't want to propose in the back of a van in Pripyat. You wait till you get better and you can take me back to Rome or wherever we've been and do it properly, because I'm a woman and I need my proposal to go just perfectly. Not you sitting here with me with the shaky cam with your busted leg, alright? Now they are attacked, and like you said, it's tacked on. It's totally tacked on. Because, again, I'm going to ask you, why is she holding a camera and filming him? It's just to lead up to them being attacked.
They really missed out on something here as well, though, because we didn't see what happened to Yuri. I guess we had that slight moment when they found the gun and something was kind of there. But again, we've now missed another opportunity for some horror moments of, you know, sounds and pushing coming from the outside. Like, who is that? What's going on? No, we don't see any of that. We just see the aftermath, which is the two people missing and the car on its side. Like, I mean, why would you not show any of that?
Were the crew that, like, so Chris's brother Paul and the other three who were walking around have been attacked by the dogs in the car park.
Yeah.
Were they sent the footage?
No, I believe they found it in the turned over
right,
vehicle.
okay, so they just found the camera when they get there.
So that's supposed to explain to us, the audience, what happened.
But I'm not sure, because at some point when they're walking around in the forest, Paul says, oh, I've heard a bunch of screaming. I want to go back and get my brother. I need to go back. But the other three convince him to stay and just carry on, because we need to go and get help. But if we turn back on ourselves now, we're just wasting time.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking they've been sent the footage through something. You're probably right. None of this is making sense. But, you know, it is from Oren Peli, creator of Paranormal Activity. So, you can expect the best.
Another thing that makes no sense is going back slightly. The girl who was taking all these photos and videos of nothing, essentially.
What?
She was going through her...
That's going to be one hell of an album when they get home.
She's going through her pictures.
Remember this one?
And she sees in one of them, when she's taking a picture of the facade of one of these big buildings, that there seems to be some sort of like person in one of the windows. And she kind of goes like, because that is bloody strange. Yeah. But she decides not to mention it to anyone. And then later when she does mention it and people are like, why didn't you say anything? She's like, I wasn't sure what I thought. I was like, you've got the photo on your camera. What do you mean I wasn't sure what I saw? What an idiot.
After or slash before we've seen the fan footage of Chris being attacked with his girlfriend, I've gone back to the group outside, and there's more fracturing between the group, because as I said, Paul wants to go back to get the car, and we get lots of running around outside. Then they go inside, there's lots of running around inside, and then they see like a little girl. There's a bit where they see a little girl.
Right.
And they start running away again.
Skipped a whole massive bit though.
Have I?
For that. Yeah, because so the reason they're running around, I mean, the car's gone, the van's done.
Yeah.
They're running around because Chris and his girlfriend obviously are missing from the van.
I was more bringing up the running around just to let people know that if you watch this movie,
there's a lot of running around.
You get running around outside, running around inside, then back outside, and just running around.
Fitness class for the cast. But yeah, so they're like, we need to find them, because obviously they don't know that they're dead. They just know that something's gone wrong. So they're going around to try and find them, and they find the girl, and she is also injured, but she's alive.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think she's the one who says that Chris, is he Chris? He's gone.
He's a goner.
He's done for.
I've got it on camera, by the way. I filmed it all.
So they find the girl, and they start making their way, I assume, to another checkpoint. That's it, because they find another map in one of the buildings, and it shows that there's another checkpoint close. But this bit again, I was like, this is just a dumb decision. So she like sits down to rest or something, and where would you feel safest resting after you've been attacked? Of course, at the top of a stairwell with metal bars, so that, you know, you've got no protection at your back whatsoever. And it's at this point that, this little girl turns up.
She's no Velma.
No, she is no Velma. She's neither a Daphne either. She's just dumb. So she's sat there, this little girl shows up, and the rest of the group is distracted by the little girl. So they all start walking towards the girl and like, hey little girl, what are you doing out here? And lo and behold, injured girl gets dragged down this set of stairs that she decided to sit at the top of.
Yeah, and as I've mentioned, I don't know if people have heard, but it's been running around outside, running around inside. Now when we're inside again, we get running around with the torchlight on, so that's a different kind of running, like running outside with the torch on now. Now we're going to head back outside, we're going to keep the torch on, because we've had running around outside with no torch, now let's put the torch on.
Oh my god, this was another thing, just like the failed bandage tourniquet thing.
Yeah.
The guy, I think Paul has the gun, the one gun of the group, and yet they decide, why give the guy with our main protection the torch? That makes no sense. Let's have someone else have the torch and, you know, flail it about, so the guy with the gun has no idea where he should be shooting. Not like, let's get the torch and the gun and actually, you know, have some protection.
Well, I've got to hark back to the opening of our crew just larking about in the airport and around Europe and being
absolute
moronic
idiots.
So that's why we've got this. At least it's sticking to the theme.
How can these three movies have such idiocy in them all?
Well, like I said, this is the writing that you're getting these days. During this running about, inside, outside, torch, no torch, gun, flailing torch, they run to a place where we find out there's too much radiation, because one of them can feel it. They're like, oh, I can feel the radiation. And so that's exposition. Oh, there's too much radiation. I should also mention, at the beginning of more close to the beginning of the movie, they're in like a taxi or something like this. And when Paul has suggested that they go to Chernobyl, one of the girls in the back is like, hey, Chernobyl, isn't that the place where... And then someone interjects, is like, yes, where the nuclear reactor went down and we got loads of radiation. So if you didn't know what Chernobyl was, at the beginning it will be explained to you like you are a 3-year-old. And they run away, they start running away from this place where there's too much radiation now. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's too much radiation anywhere you are around this area.
Are we down to just 2 people by this point as well?
I haven't written someone dying. I think it must be... Someone must be gone anyway.
It's Paul and the single girl.
Yeah, and they run into too much radiation. And
the radiation.
It's after seeing Chernobyl Man. They see a Chernobyl Man. That's what I've monikered him, Chernobyl Man. And they run outside again, and Paul and the remaining girl, they run into the like army/SWAT team who've come out of a van, a bunch of people with their guns. And you mentioned earlier on that Paul, who's been living in Ukraine for a short amount of time, but does speak fluent Ukrainian. He's got the gun pointing at his head, and instead of telling them what's gone on, he just decides to speak in a bunch of English, ignore their instructions, and he ends up getting himself blown away. And now we're just left to the girl who's been taken away, and she's in like a hospital, we think is a hospital.
I feel like you've kind of skimmed over the whole reason why this was top place for me, though, because as you were talking about all this running away and stuff, you didn't even mention the fact that they're running away because they're being chased.
Chernobyl man.
By
Chernobyl man.
Weird, like, we don't, and again, I like that they didn't show it properly, but there's like a whole group of mutant people, kind of like Hills Have Eyes style, that are chasing them down.
Let's not compare this in any way, shape or form to Hills Have Eyes.
And as I mentioned with the previous film we just talked about, that how can you be in a like dungeonous place with no light and no escape, followed by mutants, and not make it scary? At least there were certain points in this when they were being chased by unseen mutants in the dark that I felt a bit creeped out.
This is why you put this number one.
Yeah, it was the only one that made me feel anything.
Well, clearly made me feel nothing, so I didn't even bother writing that part down.
Yeah,
it's not even worth writing that part down.
That's like the whole climax of the movie.
Well, I've called them Chernobyl men. So I have mentioned them, Chernobyl men, but like I said, they're just not worth mentioning.
Oh, I thought it was. That's the whole point of them running.
So anyway, he's blown away. The remaining girl, is now taken away. She's on a gurney and she's being asked, where have you been? How have you ended up here? The barricade was down. How did you get into Pripyat? And we think that she's kind of like going to be attended to medically, but instead she's locked in a dark room, no light. We can't see anything that's happened, and all of a sudden, just in the spits of light that are coming into the room, a bunch of Chernobyl men come around her, and I assume they eat her up.
Yeah, so it's mentioned again in this Ukrainian dialogue that, harking back to the reason why the border people wouldn't let them through, essentially something had gone wrong, and some, again, experimental, like, mutant people had escaped from this place they were being experimented on or whatever. And that's why they'd closed it down, because they were trying to round up these mutants. And now they're like, yeah, we've rounded up the mutants. All the other Yanks are dead. So she's the only survivor. And then they're like, well, we can't have her going around telling the story of these, of our failure to contain our experiment. And that's why they sacrifice her to the mutants.
And look, with both Dyatlov Pass and Chernobyl Diaries, the tragedy of Chernobyl and the incident of Dyatlov, these are two very interesting incidents in our existence, and two movies with just complete missed opportunities. Have you ever seen the deformed children that were born after people were caught by the radiation, and things like this? And there were just so many ways that you could go. All of them have been completely skimmed over. It's no surprise. It's Oren Peli of Paranormal Activity. So we know what we're going to get. A real
the Dyatlov
piece
Pass one is
of
worse
crap.
for me. They're like, oh yeah, this all happened because there's, like...
It doesn't matter which one's worse at this point. We've already mentioned which is worse and who thinks what's better. I'm just talking about... considering that Ascent To Hell is bottom. So these two movies didn't even make the bottom. That's how bad Ascent To Hell was. But... yeah, my point is complete missed opportunities for both movies. You could just write just a plethora of interesting things about these incidents, and not once did they do it. Instead, let's just have a tacked on found footage piece, because people are loving found footage.
And why do they always have to make characters so unlikable?
Yeah.
Like, why would I be scared of these people being hunted down by anything?
And also, I'm not one, I don't care about, this per se, but the children that are born without limbs and stuff in real life, in this, when they see children who have been affected by Chernobyl, they're kind of just irritants, mutated irritants. It's just, again, the whole thing is, in a way, just lacking any kind of respect for what's happened, really. And something else, something that's really scary, I decided to look up how many nuclear reactors there are in the world. It turns out there's 439 active nuclear reactors, which are constantly, you can't get rid of this waste. You just can't get rid of it. So and it lives on for like thousands of years this way. So I mean, you can't ever go back in our lifetime, the next lifetime, the lifetime of that, and so forth, to Chernobyl or anything. And again, that's just another thing that has been just kind of skimmed over, and something that you could have written into the movie, but everyone's just so fucking lazy and bereft of ideas. Is there a more, dead in the water subgenre of horror than found footage? It's been done.
It really is like the mark of laziness these days.
If you consider you've had Blair Witch in 1999, which started the whole thing, fair enough, I really enjoy that movie. After that, there's not one found footage movie that I've enjoyed. And fair enough, if people enjoy the second coming of it with Paranormal Activity, I can kind of understand why people might enjoy that film. But especially since that, there's nothing, and yet there is constant found footage movies out there. In fact, the only other one which I partially enjoyed was one that was introduced to us on one of the Monster Fam streams, which was the Gonjiam. But again, it was like, the reason I liked it, or I more rated it in terms of just the found footage genre. Okay, this is probably the second best found footage movie that I've seen after Blair Witch, but it had all the same, plot points as Blair Witch, except they're in an asylum, and it's in Asia, and so forth.
Well,
which you get in both these movies. Oh, instead of being here, we're here.
My problem with found footage is usually they use it as an excuse to like just
Be lazy.
Terrible cinematography.
Mm-hmm. And it really is. It's hard to watch.
They overdo the like handheld thing and make it like almost you get seasick, which is why again I prefer it when they do like documentary style found footage, because at least they're supposed to have put some effort into the
I was going to say in
work.
Dyatlov Pass and Chernobyl Diaries' defense, it wasn't constant shaky camera like that.
Certainly not the most annoying type.
Which begs the question: why did you have to tack on that stupid scene in Chernobyl Diaries?
And lastly, I hate that they have like the flimsiest explanations, if any, as to why certain moments are being filmed in the first place. As you said, that tacked on bit. Why the hell was she filming that bit? Mm-hmm. There's no reason.
And I already had a problem with this in the original Paranormal Activity, where the guy is just constantly following his girlfriend around the apartment, filming her, and she's literally saying to him, pretty much along those lines, I hate when you keep filming me. Can't we just put the camera down? Of course, no, he doesn't. He can't do it. So it's just not believable in the first sense. So recently, standing around milling about, as I do, thinking about Heathen, I've currently come up with 2 new ideas for movies. New ideas, can you believe it? New ideas, right? And most of the time when I think about a film, it will just come to me. I don't have to overthink things. It will just come to me. And once these 2 ideas came to me in pretty quick succession, in the space of like 4 days, I've written down loads and loads of notes about the movies into my phone. I started to think to myself, okay, so this is a play on this is a play on that. Oh, we've been watching found footage recently. Is there any way you can go with found footage? And I did give it a think for about 5 minutes. I was just thinking, I just can't think of anything where you can take this in a new direction, because we've had the doorbell camera, we've had it in different places in the world, different environments. Actually, but it's all the same.
I would also like to mention something that occurred to me whilst we were watching, specifically the Dyatlov Pass one. You're making a documentary whilst you're like climbing up a snowy mountain and stuff, and yet you've got this bulky, fat camera. Why were they not doing it as a GoPro?
Yeah.
That would have made so much more sense, and also excused the fact that there was spare footage which you normally wouldn't record, because the GoPro's just going.
Again, Rennie Harlin is this far into his career. He's just for hire now. I
really wondered why there was no GoPro in that.
Something about Dyatlov Pass as well, as bad, like the acting in Chernobyl Diaries is pretty dire, right? But the acting in Dyatlov Pass, there was something about it which I was thinking, there's something here which I'm not quite putting, I can't quite put the nail in. So when I looked it up, I wasn't surprised to find out that Molly pretty much hasn't worked since like 2012. 2013 when the movie came out, and the other characters in the movie have been in stuff more recently like Emmerdale, Hollyoaks, stuff that the BBC produced like Primeval, just lowest of the low, bottom of the barrel,
and
shizer.
All these Oregon
so that explained it.
American
They're all
students.
English.
Only one of them was actually American.
Yeah, one of them, and the rest of them are from, like I say, Emmerdale, and no wonder it was fucking terrible. They must have thought, oh my god, I'm working with Rennie Harlin. I'm gonna make it. No. None of you have made it. And it was so poor. It was just poor. So, yeah.
It just reminds me of the Under Cabin Fever. I made it. I fucking made it. That's their career.
Yeah, and good. Because I never want to see any of them ever again. And I don't want to see any more godforsaken found footage films. Even once people say, oh, you might like this one, you might like this one. No, it's all the same. It's just all the same. Here's one in Russia. Here's one in America. Here's one in the woods. Here's one in an asylum. Here's another one in the woods.
Here's one at sea.
Just stop. Just stop.